Hey everyone, welcome to December. It is the beginning and you're here because, as you know, every single month we put out the stats information. So let's check out what happened in November. Hey everyone, it's Richard Payne here from Halifax Homes and Lifestyles with eXp Realty right here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Beginning of the month, and if you are a returning person, a returning viewer, you've already hit the bell, you've already done subscribe because you've been notified we've done a video. If you're not, guess what you should do? Hit the bell and subscribe because we do stats month in, month out. I'm an ex-accountant. Well, you're never really an ex-accountant, you're always an accountant. You just move on to real estate. So that's what I did, and we are always going to look at the stats, but we're also doing a lot of other videos as well. So hit the bell, hit subscribe, and you'll get notified every time we produce a video right here on the channel so that you get the benefit of the information and the 10 years of history in real estate that I've got. But we are here because it is the beginning of December, looking back at November, and we're like 2 years now since this market started changing. According to the last video, and probably the video before that, we know that it's changed again, but the biggest question is what is the impact of those changes that are having in our Halifax market? So first and foremost, we always want to look at what is that average price doing. Right now, our average price is just a little bit over $527,000. We always want to look at what happened last month and the year before. So last month, we are actually down 4% on October last month, but on November last year, we are up 6%. So it gives you an idea that yes, we know that the high was in, I think it was May this year, and we've definitely been like kind of coming down off that one. So we're still a little bit down. But the big thing is if you start looking at like, how did this whole change? Because 2020, 2021, 2022, were definitely one of those kind of anomalies that we've never really seen here in Halifax. So let's take a look at, if we go back to December 2020, we're actually up 24% on that. The average sale price in December 2020 was only $427,000. That felt like fairly normal in terms of the market. Jump forward to March 2021, that price went up to $495,000. So we are therefore 7% over that number. And really, spring into the summer of 2021, that's when everybody kind of went, oh yeah, this is like multiple offers, over asking, all of that good stuff. So we're going to track that number for the next few months and kind of see, well, okay, if we go like March, April, May, June 2021, compared to like, obviously we're going to start in December 2022 and 23, etc., etc. We'll look at how that number's actually doing, because it's really interesting because we did have that peak in May and we're down to $527,500. So it feels a little bit more normal for a Halifax market. Like when it was $640 something thousand back in May, that felt kind of high. And we're not seeing a ton of houses with like multiple offers and over asking. There's been a few, definitely there's been a few. But if you look at the sale to list price, we're at 98.8%. on average for all of the markets in Halifax Regional Municipality. So we listed at $534, we sold at $527.5. That's a $6,500 kind of difference in that price. And we're definitely seeing that. So the biggest thing for buyers that we're seeing right now is don't go in expecting list price or higher. Like you have that power of negotiation. You have that ability now because the market's slowing down, not necessarily in prices too much, but definitely in terms of the amount of inventory. You have that ability to kind of just ask for a little more, you know, and maybe you're going to get it off the price. Maybe you're going to get sale of buyer's property as a condition. Maybe you're going to be able to ask for some of those closing day adjustments not to be done. So for instance, fill up the oil tank if it's an oil-fired hot water baseboard radiator heating system. Maybe you say instead of like that being topped up and the buyer then reimburses the seller as part of the statement of adjustments on closing day, maybe they just fill it up and we don't do anything. Maybe we also don't do the property tax adjustments. Maybe we just say, listen, there is no property tax adjustments. The lawyers won't do that calculation, and therefore you will have the taxes paid all the way up until end of March of next year. So there's definitely aspects to being a buyer right now that says, don't just sit on the fence and go, do you know what? We're done. Like, 2022 is finished. there are definitely some deals out there. Like, we've wrote an offer on a place that's something like 80 days on the market. They've been trying to sell it for probably around about 5 years. And I'm like, do you know what? We can afford to potentially get a little bit of a deal on this property in terms of all the other houses around it and this particular one being the only one that's for sale. So from a buying point of view, don't always just focus on the price. Like, yes, we know that interest rates are going up. Wednesday of this week, there's going to be another announcement, December the 7th. So chances are that's going to happen as well. And interest rates are probably going to go up a little bit more. So that means that we're going to have to focus a little bit more on the other aspects. So $527,500 asking price on average, 98.8% in terms of sale to list price. So we're underneath. Now there's some markets that are different to that, and we'll get into those. But days on market, another key indicator on how our market is performing. We're at 34 days on market. That's up 7 days on last month. So last month, 7 days would have been 27, because my math is pretty accurate. But also go back to November last year, we are up 14 days on that. So you can see that in just a year, we're stretching out the amount of days on market that properties are staying around for. So that's another key indicator that the market is slowing down. Now let's look at the number of houses sold. 285 houses sold in the month of November. We're down like 29 houses on last month, so it works out to be 9%, but that's only because the numbers are pretty small. Now last year, we're down 129 homes on last year, so that's like 31%. So that tells you that November and December last year, 21, were pretty active months in terms of the amount of houses that were sold. So let's look at how many houses were active for sale. So this year, November 2022, 597 homes are active for sale across the whole of HRM. Last month, we are down 3%, so a little bit lower than last month. November, though, we are up 34% on the amount of homes that were for sale in November 2021 versus November 2022. Again, more homes for sale, not selling as much, because remember, we're down 31% on the amount of houses we sold. Average prices are obviously higher than they were in November 2021, but the days on market are higher than they were. So that tells you that there is obviously a lot more power for buyers that have got the ability to start looking at some of these houses that are for sale right now. Months of inventory. 2.1 months of inventory. I think it was 2 months last month, October, so not really much. November, 0.6 months. So up 1.4 months on last year. Now, 2.1 in terms of the number is still a very strong seller's market. Balanced, 5 to 7, 8 months or 7 months and more, that's a buyer's market. So still fairly strong in terms of the amount of inventory, but from a feeling point of view, there are more houses to look at. There are more options. We have more possibilities as a buyer to actually negotiate now, instead of just going, well, do you know what? Like, this is the only one that's available. It's in our price range. We can get it for what we want. It's us versus 5 or 6 other people. Stand a good chance. Now it's like, I went out with buyers just on Sunday. We saw 5 homes, of which 2 were possibilities. Nobody else offered. Nobody else was looking. So we're like, we got some time and we got choices here. So from a buying point of view, it's fairly strong. What else have we got here? So let's look at the sales to new listing ratio. So in other words, how many houses did we sell versus how many houses did we list in the month? We listed 316 homes in the month of November. Last year, so the ratio was 90%. Sold 285, listed 316. So we're underneath that 100% number because we didn't sell as many as we listed. So naturally, you're going to put more inventory on the market. Hence, that's where we're at with the 2.1 months. Last year, though, that was 110%. So we listed, because remember we talked about sales back in November last year, and we were down 31% this month. That means that roughly we sold something like, if we 285 houses sold, and we're down 30%, that's roughly 129 homes. That meant we sold roughly like 300, 410-ish, something like that. This month, 285. But if the sale to listing was 100%, 110% for last year, and we sold 410, we must have listed like 390. So you can see that we didn't have as many houses listed this time as we did last time either. October though, that was 85%. So we're kind of like following that trend, 80 to 90% in terms of sales to new listing ratio, where the sales are lower than the new listings. So that will always mean that we're kind of hovering around that 2.1, something like that. Also remember December 2021, because it'll be interesting to look at 22, because December 2021 was a fairly big month in terms of the number of houses sold. So it's going to be really interesting to see next year, we're already talking about next year, how that actually looks December to December, because we can't do that until January. So those are some of the key stats that we're looking at for the market in general. Now let's dig into specifics. So number one market, we are looking again, Timberley, St. Margaret's Bay, Upper Tantallon area. So they had an average sale price of $574,000, 97.6% sale to list ratio. So like a good 2.5%-ish, which equated to about $15,000 off the average price. 39 days on market, so over a month. And they sold 28 houses, but there's 82 listed there, which gives them nearly 3 months of inventory. Coming in at number two, good old Sackville again. So you can see there's a trend in terms of which are the top markets going on here. Sackville, we're hitting an average price now there of $449,000, 100.4% sale to list price. So roughly $2,000 over asking price. Some were under, some were over, but in general, sale to list price, let's just call it even. 27 days on market, so less than a month. 27 houses sold, only 15 houses available in that market. So you're at half a month of inventory. Still really popular. You've got somewhere to list and sell in Lower Sackville. It's probably what I would say is a very strong, in terms of all the markets, really strong seller's market. We listed a house there, and I think we basically had to give up $1,500 just because of some items on the inspection. But we basically got our money, what we listed for. So happy clients, happy buyers. Now let's look at number three. We are at Woodlawn, Portland Estates. I think they cropped in there last month as well. We have an average price point there of $414,000, 98.4% sale to list price. Only 32 days on market there, so sneaking just over a month. 23 houses sold, 20 available, 0.9 months. So pretty strong market there if you're in Portland Estates. Now we look at, that was number three. Now we'll look at tie for fourth place, because that was Fairmount, Clayton Park, Rockingham, as well as East Hants and Colchester County West. So that's the Elmsdale, Enfield, Lance that we always talk about. Both of those sold 20 homes in both those areas. Now, different price points, definitely. So Fairmount, Clayton Park, Rockingham, average price point there, $616,000, but 97.8% sale to list price, 29 days on market, 30 available houses, so 1.5 months. Go up to above the airport, Elmsdale, Enfield, and Lance. We'll get that right. The 20 homes sold. Average price point there at $321,000. So obviously a little bit lower there. 98.8%. 37 days on market and 20 houses sold. 83 active. 4.2 months up there. So a lot of people up in that area are actually putting the houses up for sale. That's for sure. So those are all the stats, and that's everything that we're looking for, obviously, in November. Now, from a buying point of view, we've kind of told you that it's back to, you get to be able to negotiate, you get to ask for some things that maybe you didn't think you could ask for before. And obviously any damage as well, because here's one of the key things here is, going back I'd say a year ago, it was one of those situations where, we kind of, you didn't have to put up with, but you could certainly get the feeling that okay, listen, if there's any damage or any problems on closing day when you do your pre-close walkthrough, you would kind of hope that the seller took care of everything, but sometimes they weren't maybe the cleanest. And it was one of those options that you're yeah, we can't really do a lot about this. We're just going to have to carry on. Now you could be yeah, listen, this is broken, that got damaged, the place is a bit of a mess, we want to hold back money for cleaning and all these kind of things. So there's a lot more negotiations basically across the board for the buyers. What it means for the sellers is you've got to be really cautious about the price that you put the house on, the condition of the house, but also be cautious of how's the condition when you're moving out. We all know that moving out is a 2-day process, maybe less, maybe more. For me, it would definitely be 2 days. And you've got to make sure that make the house clean for when that buyer walks in. They want a good experience on closing day. You as a buyer you as a seller rather, you definitely don't want to be giving away extra money on closing day, $600-700 because like the place didn't get swept. Because we're not asking for professional cleaning a lot of times. We're just saying, just do a normal clean, like bring a brush when everything is moved out, sweep everything out, make sure the oven and the fridge freezer is clean. Make sure that obviously the dishwasher's just run a cycle with nothing in it, and all of these other things. So for sellers, it definitely means you have to do a little bit more work to make sure that you're going to sell that house. But when you do sell the house, like, we're up 6% on November 2021. We're up 24% on December 2020. Like, you're going to do well. It's just, if you're looking at like only a 12-month window since you bought the property, houses are definitely sticking around longer. And I am definitely getting a lot of emails of price corrections going down in terms of houses that are matching my clients' needs, and then all of a sudden, like, you're seeing price reductions. So you've got to be so careful with your price. Make sure your marketing is top notch. Make sure your photographs are good. I've seen some photographs recently when I'm like, no, I don't know who did this, but it's not up to spec, it's not up to scratch. So you've got to make sure that whoever you're working with has absolutely got the right marketing strategy, the right ability to get you the best price possible for that house and negotiate strongly on your behalf. So those are all the stats. Like I say, we're at the beginning of December. There's definitely an announcement coming on Wednesday. Keep this crossed that they only go up like 0.25% on those interest rates. But we will be back in the new year. There's some more videos that are coming up as well. And if you need any help, just reach out, because that's what we're here for.